Welcome back to Sea Glass Archaeology, everybody. So here we are, we're back on Tablehead in Glace Bay. I had such a good time last week with my friend Karen. When she invited me back, I couldn't say no. So here we are, it's high tide, there's a lot of pebbles right now. Someone's already been here, and that's always okay, because what we look for is underneath the surface. I'm just haunted by that photo that I shared from 1902 with those huge antennas that were behind me. So I'm over at the high tide mark, everybody, and I'm digging where not a lot of people have been today. And I found this really dark piece. It looks just like a rock, but you can see it's got a little bit of the hydration process visible. So I'm gonna pick it up here, put it up into the sun, and we're gonna see. Oh, that's awesome. A little bit blurry, everybody, but you can see this is a really dark piece of olivey green glass. Now there's a good chance that a piece like this might originate from an old case gin bottle, and I'm saying that because it's pretty flat, where a lot of the darker bottles were rounded at the time. So who knows, maybe Marconi and his employees were drinking this while they were sending the transatlantic signals across the ocean. I'm still exploring the high tide mark, everybody, and check it out. Business is picking up. I've got these two pieces of aqua seafoam. One of them's really well aged, and the other one seems to have some bonfire in it. And then just as I was turning the camera on, I noticed there's another beautiful piece, well aged, right over here. And this looks like it's another wine bottle as well, because it's not quite Kelly green. It's a little bit off green. And then there's another piece, a fourth one right over here. So it looks like this is the magic spot on the beach right now, because so much of it has already been picked. This is what my situation looks like right over here. I'm digging through the piles and I'm finding these smaller pieces of sea glass and a few larger ones as well as we go along. This seems to be the area that has been picked the least. So hopefully we're gonna make another discovery or two on our way. There's a whole bunch of pigeons. Oh, look at this over here. There's one pigeon right over there standing against the rocks. And then there's another one over here, and they're just talking to each other as we're picking sea glass. Now check this out, everybody. I was right, digging in this pile right over here at the high tide mark, and it's another beautiful shard of yellow sea glass. Here we go. Let's just get it into focus. You know, I'm really glad that I found this right now. It's so much smaller than the one that we found last time we were here, but I wanted to touch on these again, and I think it might even be fun to put this one next to the other one that I found, and luckily for me, I have it right here in my pocket. So these are the two yellows that I found on this beach. This is the one that I found previously, and this is the one that I just found. This yellow's thick, but it's not as thick as the pieces that I find close to my house that I've matched to old lighthouse lenses. So this piece here was really consuming my imagination for the past little while. I went online and I did a little bit of digging as to what Marconi's instruments and what he used his machines looked like. And I was able to match this piece over here and potentially this piece as well to an old transistor tube that he used to broadcast his signals. I'm so glad that I went on the internet and I was able to find a color photo of antique transistor tubes that were very similar to what Marconi would have been using, because now when I share these shards with everybody, I can talk about how they played an intricate part in telecommunications at the very foundation. Look what I got in my hand here, everybody. So I've got a few really dark and well-aged olive pieces, and then I've got another one over here, and you can see it's just not as nicely aged, but the color really does seem like it's from that same period, that same time frame, you know, the early turn of the century. And it's just kind of wild to find three pieces that are varying degrees of hydration. And what's really fun is you can see on this first larger, thicker piece over here, it actually has a few little air bubbles in it. So let's see if we can get those going right over here. Yeah, it's really hard to see with the focus and the sunlight, but there's little air bubbles that are just streaking right through it. And that's a great indication that this is an antique find. You know, we were out hunting sand dollars in the last video, and I didn't realize how many people out there had never seen them before. So I really should have given a little bit more background into those sand dollars. See, sand dollars are actually urchins, little sea urchins, and they burrow into little sandbars. And that's kind of why we don't find them out on my beach when we're looking for sea glass, and we had to go to a specific spot. See, Port Morion is a really sandy sea bar, and it faces the open Atlantic Ocean. And that's why it's such a great spot. these little urchins, they burrow their way into the sand, and unfortunately, as nature goes, they just pass away, and then people find their skeletal exo remains out on the beaches, and they're just so beautiful to cherish and honor the life of that urchin that once was. You know, Glace Bay had the largest radius of any town in Canada over 100 years ago, and it's really hard to step on the beaches out here and not find some sea glass. That's why I've got so much in the bag right over here. It's been about an hour since I last reported to everybody, and I haven't had anything really special to find other than a good time and a lot of little tinies. Check it out, everyone. It's a bright little piece of red. It's here in the high tide mark. Here, let's have a look. You can see it's really small. It's probably about 2 millimeters by 1 millimeters, but it's as bright as a cherry, and I'm so happy it's coming home with me. Check out the amazing pattern, color, and swirl on this sedimentary rock right over here, everybody. It's absolutely amazing. This might be one of the most amazing rocks that I've ever seen out here on the beaches. Okay, everyone, check this out right over here. I'm right at the end of the beach, and I'm making some pretty crazy discoveries. I just found this olive. This right over here is a piece of manganese glass. It's got a little bit of lavender to it. And then look over here. Here's the big prize so far today, other than that red. It's a milk glass sea marble with some cobalt blue in it. It almost looks like he's wearing a patch over here, and he's got a little bit of a face. You can see that it's kind of oblong and shaped. You know, I'd say this one here is probably about like 10 millimeters by about like 7 millimeters. It's got some really unique markings to it. It's wild because I just found this in the rocks, these big rocks right over here at the end of the beach, and somebody had completely just ripped this spot up with a rake. You can see right over here, it's completely all shredded, but she missed this one spot right over here, and she missed this awesome little marble. You know, this is one of my favorite places to hunt sea glass, everybody. Not only for the population, because it had the largest radius of any town in Canada, but because the houses are so old in some of these areas. You know, in the hub where we are not far from, some of the houses were built in the 1820s to 1840s. Although I shouldn't say house, I should say they were company houses. Now, the company houses were built by the coal mines that were employing the people that were moving out here to seek employment. And unfortunately, they paid so little, and you'd shop at the company store, that they almost owed, it was almost like the company store owned you as a soul, and they owned you as a person. So a few years ago, a friend of mine was moving out of 2nd Street in the hub, and he asked if I could help him with the moving. I was very happy to do so, but I was very shocked to see the inside of the house. Because it predated electricity and plumbing, a lot of the pipes... Oh my gosh, there's a marble right over here! Yeah, you've got to be kidding me! I just took a swipe and I didn't even look, and there's a marble right over here, everybody. You know, it's not that small compared to the other one. It's a cat's eye. It's got like 3 veins to it. And now I'm going to have to get back to that story over here. Wow. Okay, so my friend was asking me if he could help me move him out of this place on 2nd Street in the hub. And I got in there, and you could see that the plumbing, the pipes were actually on the walls. They ran up the side of the railing of the steps into the bathroom, and the toilet, the sink, and the shower, well, the tub, all had to be built up on a box so that the plumbing could get into it. It was absolutely amazing as well that they had to hang all of their food in these mesh bags from hooks because the rodent infestation was so bad in that area. I think I have it bad where I live because I see a lot of rodents, but I don't have to hang my food and I don't see them in my house. So it's just wild to think that there's people living in these houses from over 200 years ago, and some of these people have actually inherited these houses from generation to generation to generation. And unfortunately, that's where people nowadays in this area are still littering into the ocean. Because when you inherit a property right next to the sea, you also inherit the values from the people that were in your family before you. And when they taught you, because it was acceptable back then to take your garbage and throw it into the ocean, so they're taught that by their family, and it just keeps on passing over. And that's why I've actually been on this very shoreline and had trash bags fall not too far from where I am. I'm going to keep going here with the camera running, although I am a little afraid to have the overhanging cliffs right above us. But I found those 2 marbles in such a short time. I really wish I could go the next 12 feet to the cliff over there without risking my life, because I can almost guarantee that there's going to be more amazing stuff right over here where I'm not even paying attention. Look at that. There's a big piece of ceramic. It's got a little edge to it. This could have been some sort of a serving tray. I really can't believe that marble just showed up, everybody. I'm sitting here trying to tell. Ooh. I want to show everybody what this looks like all around me. This is pretty scary right now. At 9.8 meters a second, I really wouldn't stand a chance if even the smallest one of these rocks gives way. You can see this one right over here is barely hanging on, and the individual, the woman that was down here before us with a hand rake, she was picking right underneath it and completely aloof to the situation. It's wild that she wasn't afraid to go all the way to the edge, right? Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Okay, everybody, I know I just found 2 marbles right over here, but this is not worth it. God. I'm just spooked here. I'm just spooked. Okay, we're out of here. We're out of here right now. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So here I am. And like I said, you can just see this rock right over here. It is about to give way. And I just caught that right on camera. She was picking right over there. I was just about to go and pick all of this because this is where I am. You can see where it's really wet over here. This is where I just was. And all of it right in front of me has not been picked. And I just found 2 marbles. But this isn't worth my life here. So I am not sitting down anymore. So I was just taking pictures of the marble. I'm away from the cliff right now. And then I found this. And this is very alarming to me. Because you can see this is a beautiful piece of blue glass and it looks very, very fresh. Now I want to touch on this over here because we're in Glace Bay, and Glace Bay has some of the best beaches and some of the best sea glass I've ever seen. But there's a lot of people who live out here who feel that they need to replenish the beaches, which in the sea glass world is called seeding. So what people do sometimes is they bring glass to the beach and then they break it in hopes to find it later on. Now you can tell by all the finds that we've made in our 2 trips here that nothing is kind of seeded. We didn't find anything like this. But when I find something sharp like this, this is a definite sign that somebody is seeding the beaches. It's really good to ask yourself, are these finds too good to be true? Especially when you see people that are finding tons of red sea glass and it's really, really not well aged like the finds that we make, and they find it in abundance of that exact same color. It's one thing like in our last video, the Indian Beach, where we found 4 tiny little specks of red, but they all seem to be in very different shades and specks. Those are all genuine. But when you see somebody who's got a handful of red shards that are all kind of rough and jagged and they're not too well aged, and they all seem to be from the exact same vessel, then that's a really good sign that somebody is seeding in that area where they are picking and sharing their finds from. It really depends on what side of the discussion that you fall on when it comes to seeded glasses. I personally am very much against the seeding of beaches, and I love knowing that all of my finds are just the remains from generations before us, before they knew that it was not proper to discard in the sea. But there are lots of people out there that are into this. To me, this doesn't look like it's an antique piece of glass. It more looks like something that was bought in a dollar store and then thrown in to look like beautiful glass. And one way that I can say that over here is because you can see it's got a little bit of a line on it over here. So this is the mold marking. And then it's got these little dimples. You can see these little dimples, and the dimples are actually on the inside. And that tells us that this is extremely decorative glass and really not something that would have been used for consumer, and definitely not a bottle that would have been sold in a store. And when you see a beautiful color like this is the kind of color that you would expect to see at the turn of the century, and there was nothing fancy produced such as this. So without a doubt, we know that this is a modern piece of glass that somebody has recently introduced. Well, it feels so much better to be over here and not next to those cliffs that were just coming down around me. You know, I'm just blown away still when I look at the picture of the shoreline right behind me and what it looked like 119 years ago when Marconi's towers stood. You know, it really got me thinking as well that there was a good chance that there was still sea glass on this very beach back in 1902 when that photo was taken, and a lot of that glass would have originated from the people that lived here and were mining coal in the early parts of the 1800s. What a treat it would be to take a trip back into time and look for sea glass back then. I bet you wouldn't find any clear sea glass, but we'd probably find a lot more yellow from the transistor tubes that Marconi was discarding. It's amazing to think that his transmitting station took 300 kilowatts of electricity to generate a signal to make it all the way across the ocean to England over there. It's amazing what we can do still, what we have in our pockets. Well, maybe not me, because I've never owned a smartphone, but still, from 300 kilowatts of electricity to get a simple signal across the ocean to where we are today is a long distance to travel. Okay, everyone, so I've got 3 finds over here that my friend Karen found. I wanted to share them with you. So here we can see it's a really nice ceramic. I gotta love it when we find a flower. This little pink over here is unique, and it's wild because in the past we've matched this to a spark plug. So this is actually from a pink spark plug. Thirdly, we have this thing right over here, which is actually vase filler. I know it looks like aqua seafoam, but this is something that you could buy at a craft store, like a Michael's or even a dollar store. It's even got this little bit of a carnival spray to it, but we can tell by how flat it is over here, and then it's rounded on the top. I've seen enough of these in my time to know it's a broken up vase filler. And once again, this is a real good sign that somebody is seeding the beaches. So I'm just picking all the tinies, everybody. I'm sitting here in a big pile, and I'm looking for all the little tiny sea glass here. There's so many little tinies right here, more than I could pick. The tide is going down, but there's been a few people come on the beach, and I want to let them find something nice, because they've all stopped and shared a smile with me. I've had my turn to make some great finds. Now I want them to find some, so fingers crossed for you. If you're watching this video right now, I hope you did find something. Okay, everyone, so I'm back home, and it's time for the official weigh-in. I've got my scale, it's zeroed out, and I've got 2 bags here that we're gonna weigh. The first one is what I picked. We can see I got 1 pound, 6 ounces, 635 grams. And then my friend Karen, thanks Karen, I know you're watching, was so gracious to give me everything that she picked. And she picked 12 pounds, 3 ounces, which is about 349 grams. So altogether, we have just under 1,000 grams, or a kilogram. And I know you're watching grams, so thanks for always leaving me some nice comments down below, everybody else as well. And now what's gonna be more fun is I'm gonna take all of the glass and we're gonna spread it out right here on the tray and take a good look. Here we go. So right off the bat, you can see I've got my really cool marble that I found when I was telling the story to everybody. And then there's a lot of tinies that are gonna come out of the bag as well. This is my bag, the first bag right over here. It's got 635 grams. As you can see, most of the pieces are small, but I did find the occasional one that was a little bit larger and not too cooked. This one over here, I can tell without a doubt, actually is an older bottle because it doesn't have the little ribbing on the bottom that we call anti-slip embossing. However, I know this one without a doubt is something that is very modern and was put in. So right here we have the top pocket finds from the day, minus the yellow piece because it's in a bag with the other large yellow piece right now, as it's now going to be part of my historical sea glass collection. We've got the 2 neat little marbles, that nice little triangle from the gin bottle, and then I noticed right over here, it's got almost like a hexagonal shape to it, and it's a piece of aqua seafoam, which is typically something that we'd see around the turn of the century or in the late 1800s. It's not something that we'd see that's more modern. It's kind of neat looking at all of this sea glass in a grand scale. This way we can really see that about 60 to 65% of the finds are clear sea glass from the 20th century. And that's something that you really would expect when you're picking on a beach that so many other beachcombers are visiting on a daily basis. They're gonna see the larger, brighter colors, and they're also gonna pass by a lot of the clears because they don't have use for it. Luckily for me, I'm gonna make great use out of every single little shard that you see in front of you, even the pieces of porcelain and tableware. It took a few weeks for me to assemble this video together, everybody, and I'm so sorry about that. I had a local Christmas show that I had to prepare for, and I've had quite a few sales off my Etsy page as well, so thank you so much for all of your support. There's some exciting news that I wanted to share with everybody as well. You know, I really wanted to make that video on how to clean my sea glass, but unfortunately, as you may or may not know, I make all of my videos off of a tiny little tablet, and it's really hard to hold the tablet and then show you what I'm doing with only one hand. So I went out and I purchased right over here this camcorder. It's not expensive by any stretch whatsoever, before, but I'm excited to see what the quality is going to look like, and hopefully this is going to enable me to be able to take some videos and show you not only how I clean sea glass, but how I make some of my most amazing little pieces of artwork. It brings me so much joy to share all of my finds and connect with everybody all over the world. So I'm thinking that in sharing my creative expression with you, it's going to bring me that much more joy as well. I'm really excited to see if it's going to work out with this little camera over here, so please stay tuned. Make sure that you give this video a like and subscribe as well so you don't miss any more of my awesome adventures, education, and now hopefully the artwork as well. So everybody, please keep the love in the comments going. It means so much to me when I'm reading everybody's comments, and especially when I get to see that other people are giving thumbs up to other people's comments who are watching these wonderful videos. Sea glass is the most inclusive and awesome pastime in the whole world. It doesn't matter if you're 4 or 104, the language you speak, or the beaches that you walk. It's just something that unites us all. So thanks again for watching, everybody. And as we exit this video, here's a little glimpse at my shoreline and why I'm not able to get down there right now and have any adventures. It's just been so windy and stormy. Here's a little peek. It is low tide. It's the second week of December. I believe it's December 7th today. And you can see that the waves are just pounding in. You know, I really don't remember the last time we were down here looking for sea glass. Probably in the summertime I was out here with my kids and just looking for critters underneath rocks, and I made a few finds. Hopefully this slows down, because last winter was such an awesome time, and usually winter's the best time of year for me. The winds have just been prevailing from the north for so long that I haven't been able to get down here, and I really, really miss it. This is just a great place to hunt. But I also have to add that in my life, there's been times where I've been shut out of this beach for long periods as well. I really hope that isn't about to happen to me this winter, because I worked so hard this summer. But you can see the rock that I like to sit on with my kids is completely underneath the water, and there's no reason it should be today.